It's another crazy day in the world of Magic the Gathering. There are problems with the upcoming commander decks for Warhammer 40k that have Magic players riled up. And on top of that, and more excitingly, we also somehow managed to get a leak for the Brothers War set, and the way this leak came about is pretty wild.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The Magic Historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings! Owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends! I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for another crazy installment of Mega Magic News. We've got bad news on the Commander front, and we've got crazy news on the Brothers War front. And since this is my favorite set in Magic's history, I'm already declaring it now, even though we've only seen a little bit of it. I am super hyped to talk about the leak. So let's get the Commander news out of the way first. The Warhammer 40k Commander decks are causing big problems for the Magic community overall. What's going on is specifically the collector edition decks are causing the biggest kerfuffle. There's an issue with the regular decks to begin with, but the collector ones are really where we are seeing the rage explode. And it's understandable why everything is boiling out the way it has. So obviously, anybody who's been paying attention knows that Wizards is having, what would you call it? I don't know, production issues where they can't get their products out in a timely manner, and they're making a million different products. So the Warhammer 40k product is somewhat of a gamble, right? They're going out into the universes beyond, and they've seen things like the Walking Dead set get like a pretty big response negatively from the community. So how well are these things going to sell? How much printing resources does Wizards dedicate to making these commander decks, right? So they decided to go pretty wide with the regular printings, but the collector edition printings were drastically reduced. So basically, when it came down to it, I don't know if they made this decision when they had to shift back printing or it was the initial decision. Because remember, these decks were supposed to come out months ago. So they might have had to just cut production on it, or this might have been the plan all along. But regardless, this is a heavily allocated product. And if you don't know what that means, essentially look at it this way. You're a game store. You go, hey, I want 20 copies of these collector decks. And the distributors and everybody go, you know what, no problem. We're going to note that down. We've got you down for that. But you don't know exactly how much stuff Wizards is going to send. Most of the time, you're going to get what you need, right? Okay, this is what you've ordered. This is what's coming in. But not in this situation. All of a sudden, people who were told you ordered 20, you can have 2. You can have 2, right? Some stores were told you can have 1. The most, and I mean the most I've heard of a store getting is 5. And we're talking the big, gigantic, ultra premium edition stores. Like, there are so few of these to go around that I know people who run game stores that as soon as they woke up and saw the email about the allocation, they sent people everywhere going, get these wherever you can. Start putting in orders, get these for us. Like, there's all kinds of people maneuvering all over the place to try and get these. So you have these decks that already have a bunch of pre-orders locked in from the past, because you have to understand that this product is basically marketed to 2 different bases of customers. So you have the Warhammer players who are into Warhammer and will buy it because it's Warhammer. So they're like, yo, they're putting all my little Space Marine chainsword dudes onto cards. Yeah, let's do this for the Emperor. You know what I mean? Like, I saw some really awesome cards specifically when I was looking through the Warhammer spoilers that I went, this really does evoke the flavor right. Like, Wizards of the Coast did a banger job of getting the flavor overall right for them and delivering on the concepts that you would expect to see in it. So it's a solid product, but sight unseen, a bunch of Warhammer players already locked in orders, right? Then you flash forward to the present, where you've got the perfect storm of supply issues where you can't get them, and a surge in orders because people start seeing Exterminardus and Marnius Calgar and the Golden Throne, and boom, all of a sudden demand is through the roof because look at these crazy, functionally unique, interesting powerful effects. Some of the stuff you can use to take infinite turn counters, like infinite turn combos with Aeon counters. Like, there's a bunch of stuff meshed in there. They did a good job. So now you've got Magic players pounding on the door. Let me in! Let me buy some of that Warhammer! And the stores are just like, dude, we don't have anything. Like, we're in the spot where we had to contact people who are already getting and be like, so here's the thing, man. I told you that you could get these decks, the collector's one specifically, I know, but we were going to get 20, and we're getting 2, and you're number 6 down the list, so I literally don't have product to sell you. But, like, a lot of store owners, first of all, aren't going to explain that entire thing out, but even if they do, people are going to think other things. They're going to turn around, because I've seen it. This is where the anger is coming from. First of all, being denied the product that you want, but secondly, the accusations of scalping that are going on. Because these products are so incredibly limited, you will see the price point of these pushing upwards. Originally, when these collector decks came out, it was like, they're going to be $500, $600, and then you're at 7, 8, 9, 1,000. Like, the price has pushed through the roof. So you have a bunch of people who are looking at, like, and we're seeing it in places like TCG player listings and stuff where people go, hey, I ordered this and now they're canceling it on me and I can't get it and I'm seeing it listed elsewhere. So I'm sure the store is scalping me and flipping it. So basically, everybody's upset. Stores can't get enough to meet demand. Players are angry at the stores. The stores are angry because they have to try and figure out what to do. And everybody thinks scalping is going on. So that is a disaster, right? Like, this is a bad situation to find yourself in. But on the upside, clearly the product is a winner. So, I mean, Wizards is going to put that check mark in their book. Now, let's talk about the leak. This thing is wild. Let me show you a mangled piece of cardboard, my friends. And I have to say, I am so stoked about being in the era of the Brothers' War. This is my favorite story from all of Magic's history. I'm literally covering the entirety of it over on my Fantasy Geographic channel. Having a hard time getting carried away here, all right? So anyways, the story is epic, guys. If you haven't heard the original Brothers' War story, I will tell it to you in beautiful detail. There's tons of videos. It's a great playlist. I'll leave it at the end of this video, but this ties right into it. This is Mishra's Bauble, okay? Now, obviously, this isn't English. You know what's really strange about this card, guys? This was actually leaked like a month ago, which is totally wild, but we'll get into that. Let's break down what the card actually is, because this is really cool. First of all, from the functional standpoint, this is an artifact that cost 0 to put out, which fits right into the Brothers' War era, the beginning of Magic. You got your 0 casting cost, moxes, and all your other crazy nonsense, right? So you've got that. You also have the fact that Magic already has an Urza's Bauble, so you get the symmetry between the two. Now, this one lets you tap it, sacrifice it, you look at the top card of a player's deck, and then at the beginning of the next upkeep, you draw a card. It's one of those weird, they called them slow trips, where basically you have to wait a full turn to get to draw the card. They were originally introduced in Ice Age, and honestly, they're not very good. Having to wait a turn to draw the card's not that hot. But the point of this isn't about that. It's a 0 casting cost artifact. You can use it for multiple purposes and to gain information. And what's really cool about this version in particular is when you take a look at it, the artwork, right? It is the sketch version. So if you didn't catch yesterday's spoiler video, and if you didn't, oh, Urza, the Gemstone Eyes, the Urza Planeswalker card, it's absolutely insane. You must see it. You must know. But for now, in case you didn't know, what they're doing is these cards are going to be available in set boosters, draft boosters, and collector boosters, but they are not actually part of the main set. If you remember Strixhaven had that Mystic Archive, which was a bunch of instants and sorceries that they had kind of compiled together. Well, the Brothers' War is about artifacts and artificers. So we get this series of artifacts from Magic's history, and they're all done in old school bordering. So this one in particular was only available in new school border with that new silvery steel frame, not this old glorious brown frame that evokes the ancient days of Magic. So these sketch variations are available. So you can get regular versions in the old border, you can get sketch versions in the old border, and there's something now called rainbow foiled serialized versions of these as well. Now, we didn't talk about the rainbow foil aspect of this in yesterday's video, but we did touch on the fact that this is going to be an ongoing thing now, only available in collector boosters. You can get foil variants of these cards. So as far as I understand it, for every artifact that is in this set done in this style, and I think it's something around 60 of these, so there's 60 of these, and in collector boosters, there will be 500 with a special foil rainbow treatment of each individual artifact, and they will be numbered 1 through 500. So you will be able to get a Mishra's Bauble that has a special foil treatment and is numbered 1 out of 500 if you hit the insane lottery odds, because Wizards is really swinging for the fences here. Now, in terms of the sketch concept, because that's the artwork they use for the rainbow foils, this is a real win. Look at the artwork. You see, first of all, Mishra's Bauble in the forefront here, and if you didn't notice, there's the weeping mask of Yawgmoth front and center. That is one of the main pieces, one of the main icons of Phyrexia, right? So this is a nice little callback there if you didn't know it. But what I really like about this sketch version is the additional details that it adds. In the bottom left-hand corner, you can see they've got the little Phyrexian Yawgmoth mask. But my favorite part is in the upper right-hand corner, where you can actually see how the bauble is used. So you hold it up to your eye, and then it allows you to see the future and gives you magical knowledge. That is epic. And on top of that, guys, the sketch versions also add new layers to the flavor. So the flavor text that down there isn't in English. Roughly translated, it says, "The secrets of my great uncle's heritage lie in the world that was forged, the oily wastes of Phyrexia." Now that is a quote that is attributed to Jarsel, okay? And that is a character who is pretty obscure in Magic, but he's got some interesting tie-ins. The first, actually, is the only cryptic mentioning of him that shows him making his way to Phyrexia, and that is an amazing card from Antiquities called Gate to Phyrexia. It's a 2 black casting cost enchantment that lets you do what black normally can't do. You can sacrifice one of your creatures during your upkeep to destroy an artifact. So basically, once each upkeep, you can just go sack a creature, destroy an artifact. It's a really potent effect, and it is really not a black effect, but they had the really strong artifact and black concept permeating through the Brothers War style storyline and the original Antiquity set that this is from. But the flavor text is where you see the connection, where it says, "The warm rain of grease on my face immediately made it clear I had entered Phyrexia." Now, I've always found this to be one of the most evocative pieces of flavor text in ancient Magic to really give you the feel of Phyrexia. The fact that it rains grease, oily Phyrexian grease, is insane. And we know what that Phyrexian oil can do to you. So he doesn't know it's dripping down onto him. Like, it's just absolutely amazing for flavor. And it goes even deeper than this, because Jarsel is actually a descendant of Harbin, all right? And if you don't know who Harbin is the child of either Urza or Mishra. It's not 100% clear, actually. If you want more details on that, I literally just released a lore video yesterday that covers this exact part of the story, Harbin being brought into existence. So we have Harbin, who is a descendant of one of the two brothers, and then you have a chain of descendants that leads to Jarsel. And Jarsel ends up being a very powerful mage who's referenced throughout history, but only through his notes, because he is trapped in Phyrexia. We know he made it to Phyrexia because somehow his notes made it back out. Kind of similar to Asmora's notes making it back from the Underworld cookbook story, right? But ultimately, nobody knows what happened to him. We may get him in some sort of future reference now. I love that they're taking this extra step of using the flavor text on the sketch cards to give us variants that tie more into the history of this set. I absolutely love the Brothers War. This leak was found through dumpster diving. That's what happened. Somebody scrounged around, found these outside of a production facility, because this wasn't the only thing that was found. Everything else that was found was already like Dominaria United stuff, and that's actually why the leak was waved away. People saw it and were like, you're just taking a bunch of cards we've already seen, we already know exist, and you're just adding this in. But after all the information that was revealed yesterday, it's become clear that this is exactly bang on 100% what Wizards of the Coast is doing. So as far as I'm concerned, this leak is 100% confirmed. Now, if you want more Brothers War goodness, link to yesterday's video, a live stream I did going through all of yesterday's spoilers, and the Brothers War lore. Choose one of those 3 adventures. Big thank you to all my patrons for supporting my channel, and I will see you all, my friends, in the next video.